Today we're going to make a one-point perspective cityscape. So in one-point perspective, everything vanishes at the same point. So my vanishing point in this picture is right here in the middle. Now we have all the buildings kind of going back into the space, and that creates a sense of distance and space in your image. You can see all of these lines on the edges of the building are all pointing towards this dot here, even the road. So what we're going to do today is we're going to first draw out our buildings, we're going to put them in perspective, and then next class we're going to paint these. So the materials you'll need today are a piece of paper, a pencil, an eraser. You might need a pencil sharpener to keep things sharp, some colored pencils, and a ruler. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is take my piece of paper and I'm going to fold it in half to create a horizon line. You can see in this image the horizon line's right here. So that's where the sky meets the ground. All right, I'm going to fold it back and forth a few times so my paper lays flat. All right, so I'm going to draw it in just so it's easier to see. So this line right here is going to be my horizon line. So all my buildings need to be below the horizon line, but they can reach above, but they need to start below. Now I'm going to pick my vanishing point. So somewhere in the middle of the paper, you're going to draw a dot for your vanishing point. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to make a street going down the center of our road. So I'm going to make some lines here and here. So this will be where my street is. And then I'm going to draw lines from that dot to the edges of my street. Now it looks just like a triangle, but if we could imagine, this is the front of the street and here it is getting smaller and smaller in the back of space. So what I also want to do is add these little yellow marks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 2 dots for where my yellow marks start, and then I'm going to draw lines that go all the way back to my vanishing point. So there's my dots, and then I'm going to draw a line from the vanishing point to the dot, and then the vanishing point to the dot. Now, I want my line kind of broken like this one, so I'm going to just do some horizontal lines to break that up. Now I'm going to erase my extra lines. And now I have the illusion of a street going back into space. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started on my buildings. Now, first we want to do the front of our building. So I'm going to draw a rectangle for the front of my building on either side of my street. So I'm going to use my ruler to help me. And I'm going to draw a building that's facing me. All right, so now I've got my building and I'm going to erase the center part here, this horizon line that would be hidden. All right, next I'm going to, just like we've done before with letters, I'm going to use the dots on the edge of the buildings and make them connect to the vanishing point right here. All right, now that I've drawn my lines, you can see the building kind of shrinking back into the distance. I'm going to do another perpendicular line right here to connect these two ends and kind of create the end of my building. So I'm going to erase any little extra marks. And now I have a building going back into space. I can erase the horizon line right here too. All right, now I want to make a building that's kind of hiding behind this one, kind of like this building here. So I'll just do a little rectangle. It's kind of peeking out from the back of this building. Just like that. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line my edge or kind of corner of the building up with the vanishing point. Draw a little line. Then I'm gonna connect the edge or the corner with the vanishing point. With my ruler, draw a little line. And then I just need to draw a kind of perpendicular line up and down to finish that building. So there we go. Now I have another building and I can erase my horizon line inside. Now I think over here I want to draw a little garden. So I'm going to draw kind of the bottom of my garden here. It's just going to be a little square, and then I'm going to connect it with my vanishing point. And then I'm going to draw another line here. So this might be a little garden here. Maybe I'll put some plants. All right, now I'm going to go to the other side of my road and add more. So I think first I would like to draw some trees. Now for trees, they're not really angular like buildings, but we can still work on the size and make them go back into space. So I'm going to draw some guidelines for the bottom of my tree. So this is where the bottom of my tree will be. And then I'm going to draw, I think I want the top of my tree kind of up here. So I'm going to draw some guidelines for the top of my tree. All right, so now my trees are gonna be kind of along here. Now I wanna make sure my trees fit inside of this little kind of triangle I made to make sure they're in perspective. So I'm repeating my tree shape, but it's getting smaller and smaller as it goes back into space until it kind of disappears. So there's my trees. And I can erase these guidelines that I used now. Now you can do this with things other than trees. You can do it with plants or people. People would do the same thing, getting smaller back into space. I think I'm going to draw a little sidewalk like I did here. See, I have a little sidewalk next to my road. So I'm going to draw some lines going down. And then I'm going to just do some little blocks for my sidewalk. All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to put some more buildings over here. So I'm going to tuck this building behind this tree, make kind of a rectangle. I'm going to actually have my rectangle go off the page. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did over here, except this time my lines will be going in this direction. So I'm going to connect from the corner to the edge. All right. All right, now, last but not least, I want to add some windows to my building. So on the front, the buildings will buildings will have normal windows like usual, but on the sides, the windows will actually go towards that vanishing point too, like these ones do. So I'm going to draw a few windows on here. So I'm going to first start with drawing a straight line, and then I'm going to have the edge just peek back into space going from the edge of the window to the vanishing point, and then that creates a window that goes back into space. Maybe a big window here. So from the top of the window to the vanishing point, from the bottom of the window to the vanishing point. And then these windows would just be looking straight on. Like that. And you can do this with bricks, kind of connect the bricks to the edge. I'll do that over here. So I'd take my vanishing point, line it up with my building, and I can draw some lines here that I could turn into bricks. So it doesn't matter what you do as long as you line everything up with your ruler to this vanishing point, so everything's disappearing into space. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my colored pencils and I'm going to outline everything, all the lines with colored pencil, and next time we'll paint these. All right, so we have our beginning of our buildings and our cityscape, and next time we'll paint them so it'll look like something like this.